The Power of Walking Alone, a Woman's Journey to Independence and Strength. In a world that often romanticizes companionship and the idea of finding your tribe, there exists a rare and extraordinary power in walking alone. Many people surround themselves with others to chase away the silence, to fill the void of loneliness. But a woman who chooses solitude? That is a woman who understands her power. The strength she gains from walking alone is unmatched, and her journey to independence and self-sufficiency becomes a testament to her resilience and inner fortitude. The quiet strength of solitude. Walking alone is not a weakness, it is a declaration of independence. It is the mark of a woman who refuses to settle for a life dictated by external validation. Independence and self-sufficiency are not qualities gifted overnight, they are forged in the fires of experience, trials, and often, solitude. A woman who learns to stand firmly on her own 2 feet without leaning on a network of friends to validate her existence isn't just surviving, she's thriving. She understands that her strength doesn't come from those around her. It doesn't come from the comfort of a crowd or the constant reassurance of others. Her strength is born within her, an unshakable core that remains steady through life's storms. In a society that glorifies the safety net of companionship, it is easy to overlook the profound power of independence. Yet, for the woman who chooses to walk alone, independence becomes her armor, her sanctuary, and her guiding light. Society's expectations versus individual empowerment. From a young age, society often sends the message that happiness and fulfillment come from the connections we build, a close-knit tribe, a supportive crew, a lifelong partner. But here's the reality, not everyone is built to walk with the crowd. Some of the most extraordinary individuals, those who truly leave their mark on the world, are those who dare to walk their own path. The independent woman has learned to rely on herself because, at the end of the day, she knows she is the only one who will always have her back. This self-sufficiency isn't a rejection of relationships or community, instead, it's a deep understanding that while relationships are valuable, they do not define her. She doesn't need friends to feel validated or worthy because her worth is self-defined, something she carries with her every day. When life's challenges arise, she doesn't immediately turn to others for answers. Instead, she looks inward, trusting her instincts, her hard-won knowledge, and the lessons life has taught her. This ability to rely on her internal compass sets her apart from those who feel lost without the guidance or opinions of others. Her strength is unyielding, her resilience unmatched, and her spirit unbreakable. Resilience built over time. A self-sufficient woman becomes unshakable not because life is easier for her but because she has built her strength over time. When people leave her life or when she faces adversity, she doesn't crumble. Instead, she draws from the deep well of resilience she has cultivated. Every challenge, every setback, has taught her one invaluable truth: the only person she can truly rely on is herself. This strength is not limited to emotional resilience, it extends to every aspect of her life. She doesn't seek constant affirmation or approval from others to navigate her journey. She makes her own decisions, takes full responsibility for them, and embraces the fact that her life is hers to shape. In doing so, she embodies the courage to stand alone in her beliefs, values, and vision for her future. The courage to tune out the noise. The world is noisy, filled with opinions, trends, and societal expectations that can easily drown out one's inner voice. A self-sufficient woman has learned to tune out this noise. She doesn't conform to the crowd or follow trends just because it's the easier path. Instead, she walks boldly in the direction that feels right for her. This independence requires a profound level of self-awareness and confidence, qualities that are rare because they demand a willingness to step away from the comfort of pleasing others. By listening to her own voice, she makes decisions aligned with her true self, carving out a life that reflects her deepest values and aspirations. Independence as a form of empowerment. Independence is more than a survival skill, it's a form of empowerment. A woman with inner strength doesn't just navigate life, she thrives in it. She becomes her own guide, charting her path and creating her own space in a world that often tries to fit women into predefined roles. This self-sufficiency is rare, but it is also what allows her to rise above challenges. She understands the importance of self-reliance not only in making decisions but in every facet of life. She learns to take care of herself, mentally, emotionally, and physically, not out of necessity but because she recognizes her own worth. She is not waiting for someone to rescue her or solve her problems. She takes full responsibility for her happiness, health, and future. This doesn't mean she never seeks help or support from others, but when she does, it's on her terms. She isn't dependent on anyone for her sense of self or her ability to thrive. Instead, she builds a life that she can sustain on her own, a rare and powerful achievement. Walking alone, not isolated. One of the most profound aspects of a woman's independence is that it doesn't isolate her. On the contrary, it strengthens the relationships she chooses to nurture. Because she doesn't enter relationships out of desperation or need, her connections are built on mutual respect, understanding, and genuine affection. A self-sufficient woman values the quality of her relationships over their quantity. She doesn't seek superficial connections or cling to people who don't add value to her life. Instead, she surrounds herself with individuals who respect her for who she is, not what she can offer in the moment. True freedom in independence. Perhaps the most liberating aspect of walking alone is the freedom it brings. A self-sufficient woman isn't bound by the opinions, judgments, or expectations of others. She is guided by her own inner compass, unafraid to walk her own path, even if it diverges from societal norms. She doesn't need a large social circle to feel secure. Instead, she prioritizes authenticity in her relationships, choosing depth and meaning over appearances. Her worth is not tied to how many people she knows or how often she is invited to social gatherings. She has freed herself from the pressure to conform to society's superficial measures of success. The empowering journey of solitude. Walking alone offers a unique opportunity for self-reflection and personal growth. Without the distractions of constant social interaction, a woman can turn inward, asking the important questions: who am I? What do I truly want? What values guide my life? In this space of solitude, she learns to confront her fears, embrace her strengths, and align her life with her true desires. Through this process, she discovers that her value comes not from external validation but from the strength of her character, the clarity of her purpose, and the integrity of her choices. Solitude becomes her teacher, showing her that true empowerment comes from within. A role model for others. A woman who walks alone becomes a beacon of inspiration. Her courage to live authentically and independently challenges societal norms and encourages others to do the same. By rejecting conformity, she demonstrates that fulfillment comes from living a life true to oneself, not from meeting the expectations of others. Her journey is a declaration that a woman's worth is not tied to her relationships or social status. Instead, it is rooted in her ability to trust herself, embrace her individuality, and create a life that reflects her deepest values. Conclusion: the unstoppable force of self-sufficiency. Walking alone is not a sign of isolation or weakness, it is a powerful act of self-discovery and empowerment. A woman who chooses this path gains emotional resilience, clarity, and a profound sense of self-worth. She learns to trust her instincts, prioritize her growth, and nurture her well-being without relying on external validation. Ultimately, the journey of walking alone equips her with the tools to face life's challenges with grace, strength, and dignity. She emerges not as someone who lacks companionship but as someone fulfilled and whole within herself, a true force of nature, unstoppable and unapologetically authentic. The unstoppable power of a self-sufficient woman. In a world that often glamorizes dependency, the self-sufficient woman stands as a beacon of strength, clarity, and empowerment. She embodies the ideal of taking full responsibility for her mental, emotional, and physical well-being, refusing to wait for someone else to rescue her or solve her problems. Her happiness, health, and future are not contingent upon others, they are her own creation. This independence is not just a quality, it is her superpower. A life built on her terms. A self-sufficient woman doesn't relinquish control over her destiny to external forces. She knows that true power lies in owning her journey, including its ups and downs. She builds a life she can sustain on her own, a rare and extraordinary accomplishment in a world that encourages dependency. But her independence isn't about shutting people out, it's about fostering authentic, meaningful connections. When she seeks help, it is not out of desperation but as a deliberate choice. She reaches out when it aligns with her goals, not because she lacks the strength to stand on her own. This balance allows her to remain open to others while retaining her sense of autonomy, a combination that makes her relationships more profound and mutually respectful. Independence that strengthens connections. One of the most surprising aspects of a self-sufficient woman's life is how her independence actually enhances the quality of her relationships. She doesn't rely on others to fill emotional gaps or validate her worth. Instead, she chooses relationships based on shared values and genuine connection, not neediness. This creates a balance and respect in her interactions that many people never experience. Because she doesn't enter relationships out of desperation, her connections are free from unhealthy expectations. She doesn't demand that others complete her, instead, she complements their lives as they do hers. This mutual respect creates a foundation for deeper, more fulfilling bonds. The freedom of true independence. Independence offers a form of freedom that is unmatched. It liberates a woman from the constraints of other people's opinions, expectations, and judgments. A self-sufficient woman walks her own path, guided by her inner compass. She understands that her worth is not tied to how others perceive her but to the unshakable confidence she carries within. Wherever she goes, she knows she is enough. She doesn't need a crowd to validate her. She possesses everything she needs to not just survive but to thrive. This confidence allows her to embrace solitude without fear or hesitation, knowing it's not the absence of companionship but an opportunity for growth. Quality over quantity, redefining relationships. Many people measure the value of their lives by the number of connections they have, friends, followers, and social engagements. They chase popularity and surround themselves with large social circles to gain a fleeting sense of worth. But a self-sufficient woman knows better. She values depth over breadth, meaning over numbers. She understands that true relationships are not about how many people are in your life but about the authenticity of those connections. Rather than filling her life with shallow, fleeting acquaintances, she seeks out a few profound, meaningful bonds. These relationships are based on mutual understanding, support, and respect. Choosing depth over superficiality. A self-sufficient woman has no interest in small talk or surface-level interactions. She craves depth, meaningful conversations, and connections with people who truly see her for who she is, not just for what she can offer in the moment. This approach to relationships requires a special kind of strength, as it's far easier to fill one's life with acquaintances than to wait patiently for authentic relationships to form. It takes wisdom to recognize that true connection is rare and cannot be forced. A self-sufficient woman knows it's better to have one or two real friends than to maintain the illusion of connection with dozens of people. She seeks substance over appearances, even if it means walking away from relationships that no longer serve her. Letting go with confidence. Not every relationship is meant to last forever, and a self-sufficient woman understands this truth. She doesn't cling to toxic or draining relationships out of fear of being alone. Instead, she has the confidence to let go of what no longer aligns with her values and goals. This process isn't always easy. Letting go of relationships that have history or emotional investment can be painful, but she knows that holding on to what is unfulfilling only holds her back. Walking away is an act of self-respect and self-preservation. It's about prioritizing her peace and energy over the illusion of connection. A self-sufficient woman understands that it's far better to walk alone than to walk alongside those who don't truly care for her. The strength to wait for authenticity. A self-sufficient woman is not in a rush to fill her life with people. She takes her time, carefully choosing the relationships she allows into her world. She seeks authenticity, not perfection, and is unafraid to step back if a relationship feels forced or unbalanced. This patience allows her to build connections that are rich, meaningful, and aligned with her values. She knows that true friendship and love cannot be rushed or fabricated. Instead, they must grow naturally, rooted in mutual respect and understanding. walking alone without fear. A self-sufficient woman isn't afraid of walking alone because she knows that solitude isn't a sign of weakness, but an opportunity for growth. It's in these moments of solitude that she discovers her own strength, her own voice, and her own worth. She learns to rely on herself, not because she has to but because she chooses to. This reliance on her own capabilities fosters an unshakable sense of self-worth. When she does connect with others, she does so from a place of wholeness, not need. Her relationships are not about completing her but complementing the life she has already built for herself. Independence as a path to freedom. In embracing independence, a woman discovers a profound sense of freedom. She's no longer bound by societal expectations or the opinions of others. She chooses her own path, guided by her values, desires, and dreams. This freedom allows her to build a life that is authentically hers, a life that reflects her true self, not the version of herself that others expect her to be. By valuing quality over quantity, setting boundaries, and nurturing her independence, she creates a life that is rich in meaning and connection. She learns that the most fulfilling relationships are those built on respect, understanding, and shared values. Conclusion: the empowered life of a self-sufficient woman. The self-sufficient woman is not defined by her relationships or her social circle but by the strength of her character and the life she creates for herself. She doesn't rely on others for her happiness, her health, or her sense of worth. Instead, she takes full responsibility for her journey, embracing both the challenges and triumphs that come her way. Her independence doesn't isolate her, it empowers her. It allows her to form deeper, more meaningful connections with the people who matter. It frees her to walk her own path, confident in the knowledge that she is enough. By prioritizing her growth, setting boundaries, and valuing authenticity, she creates a life that is truly hers, a life of freedom, fulfillment, and unshakable strength. In choosing to walk alone, she proves that independence is not just a survival skill, it is the ultimate act of empowerment. The power of solitude, valuing quality over quantity in relationships. In a world that often glorifies social status and the appearance of connectedness, it takes a courageous and discerning individual to prioritize authenticity over superficiality. A woman who values her peace and energy over the illusion of friendship understands a profound truth: real connections are far more important than fleeting companionship. This mindset not only shapes the way she approaches relationships but also empowers her to walk her own path, free from the pressure to conform. Protecting her peace and energy. For a woman who values her inner peace, the decision to let go of people who don't genuinely care about her is not a loss but an act of self-preservation. She recognizes that maintaining relationships out of habit or fear of loneliness only drains her energy and distracts her from her true purpose. Instead, she prioritizes protecting her emotional well-being, even if that means walking away from toxic or superficial connections. This clarity of purpose shapes her approach to new relationships. She is not in a rush to fill her life with people for the sake of appearances or to satisfy societal expectations. Instead, she exercises patience, taking the time to truly understand others' intentions and values. This intentional approach ensures that the people she allows into her life align with her principles and contribute to her growth. Seeking authenticity over perfection. A self-aware woman knows that perfection in relationships is a myth. What she seeks instead is authenticity, a real, unfiltered connection that cannot be faked or forced. She is unafraid to step back from relationships that feel unbalanced or inauthentic, understanding that it's better to wait for meaningful connections than to settle for less. This patience is an act of strength and self-respect. By refusing to conform to societal expectations about how many friends she should have or how connected she should appear, she frees herself from the hollow pursuit of validation. Instead, she focuses on building relationships that add real value to her life. Redefining success in relationships. Society often measures success by the size of one's social circle, the number of invitations to events, or the frequency of social interactions. However, a woman who values quality over quantity rejects these superficial metrics. She understands that such validation is empty and fleeting. Her focus is on depth, not numbers, and on authenticity, not appearances. In the quiet moments when she is alone with her thoughts, she doesn't feel lonely. Instead, she feels grounded and fulfilled, knowing that the few relationships she maintains are rich and meaningful. These are the people she can count on in times of need, the ones who will stand by her no matter what. She doesn't need a large circle to feel secure because the depth of her connections is more than enough. Being fully present for those who matter. One of the great benefits of prioritizing quality in relationships is the ability to be fully present with the people who matter most. When a woman spreads herself too thin, trying to maintain dozens of shallow friendships, it becomes nearly impossible to give her full attention to anyone. By focusing on a select few meaningful relationships, she has the time and energy to truly invest in them. This focus creates bonds built on trust, respect, and mutual understanding. She shows up for the people who matter to her in a real and significant way, and they do the same for her. These relationships become a source of strength rather than a drain on her resources. Choosing depth over superficiality. The decision to prioritize depth over superficiality is not limited to relationships, it becomes a way of life. A woman who understands that not everything that glitters is gold, is not swayed by the allure of popularity or the need for external validation. She walks her own path, secure in the knowledge that the few true connections she has are worth more than 100 hollow ones. This understanding liberates her from the societal pressure to conform. She no longer feels the need to chase approval or maintain appearances. Instead, she focuses on building a life that reflects her values and enriches her spirit. The magic of solitude. When a woman finds herself without friends, society might view it as a disadvantage. However, she knows that solitude is an opportunity, a chance to truly understand herself on a deeper level. Without the distractions and influences of others, she has the rare space to focus solely on her own development. In solitude, self-reflection becomes a powerful tool. It sharpens her awareness, illuminates her strengths, and reveals her ability to thrive independently. In a world filled with constant noise and social interaction, it's easy to lose touch with who you truly are. Solitude strips away the external expectations and obligations, leaving her alone with her thoughts and her truth. Asking life's important questions. Without the roles and labels imposed by relationships, friend, partner, daughter, a woman is left with herself. This quiet time becomes an invaluable opportunity to ask the important questions. What do I truly want? What do I believe in? Who am I when no one else is around? These questions require honesty and self-awareness, qualities that solitude helps cultivate. A woman who embraces this process doesn't avoid these questions, she confronts them head-on. This journey of self-discovery is both challenging and liberating, offering her the chance to align her life with her authentic self. Growth through solitude. The absence of friendships doesn't mean the absence of growth. In fact, some of the most profound personal development occurs in solitude. Free from the expectations and distractions of others, a woman can focus on her emotional, mental, and spiritual growth. She learns to sit with her emotions, understand her triggers, and embrace her strengths and weaknesses. This process builds resilience, self-trust, and a deeper understanding of who she is. It's a journey that allows her to heal, grow, and emerge stronger than ever before. Building a life of authenticity. A woman who values quality over quantity creates a life that is rich with authenticity. She doesn't cling to relationships that no longer serve her, nor does she rush into new ones out of fear of being alone. Instead, she moves through life with intention, choosing connections that align with her values and bring genuine joy. This approach extends beyond relationships, it becomes the foundation of her entire life. She seeks meaning over appearances, substance over superficiality, and depth over fleeting satisfaction. In doing so, she crafts a life that is fulfilling, empowering, and uniquely hers. Conclusion: the strength of solitude and authenticity. A woman who values her peace and prioritizes authentic connections is a force to be reckoned with. She refuses to conform to societal expectations, instead carving out a life that reflects her deepest truths. By choosing quality over quantity, she liberates herself from the pressure to maintain appearances and instead focuses on what truly matters. In solitude, she finds the space to grow, reflect, and thrive. She builds relationships that are real, meaningful, and enriching, while letting go of those that no longer align with her values. This journey of self-discovery, resilience, and authenticity transforms her into a woman of extraordinary strength, capable of facing the world with confidence, clarity, and purpose. The transformative power of solitude, embracing self-reflection and growth. In a world overflowing with noise, social interactions, and endless distractions, the opportunity for solitude is often overlooked. Yet, for a woman, choosing to embrace solitude becomes an unparalleled journey of self-discovery, reflection, and empowerment. Alone with her thoughts, she faces herself head-on, digging into the depths of her desires, fears, and dreams, a process that, while challenging, is vital for growth. Confronting the uncomfortable truths. Self-reflection requires honesty, a trait many avoid because of the discomfort it brings. However, solitude leaves no room for avoidance. A woman in this space turns inward, not to criticize herself but to examine her experiences with compassion and curiosity. She explores what drives her, uncovers the behaviors that hold her back, and begins to understand her emotional triggers, strengths, and weaknesses. This level of introspection is uncomfortable but essential. Without the constant pressure to perform for others or fit into external molds, she finds the freedom to simply be. No longer distracted by the demands of relationships, she can focus entirely on herself, listening to the voice within that so often gets drowned out by the world's expectations. The clarity of listening to herself. In solitude, her inner voice becomes clear and undeniable. Free from the noise of societal norms and the influence of others' opinions, she begins to hear her true thoughts. This clarity becomes a powerful tool for growth, as she discovers that personal evolution is not a single moment but a lifelong journey. Every failure, challenge, and success becomes an opportunity to learn and evolve. Without external validation shaping her perspective, she learns to see the world through her own lens, unfiltered by the collective views of a group. This independence of thought is deeply empowering, enabling her to make decisions and form beliefs based on her values rather than external pressures. Healing through solitude. Solitude provides the perfect environment to confront unresolved issues that often get buried beneath the busyness of life. Many people use friendships and social interactions as distractions from emotional pain, insecurities, or unmet goals. But when those distractions are removed, a woman is left to face her challenges directly. This confrontation, while difficult, is profoundly healing. She begins to address old wounds, release the narratives that no longer serve her, and embrace a future unburdened by unresolved emotions. Through this process, she finds freedom, a lighter, more unencumbered version of herself. Discovering inner resilience. One of the greatest revelations that solitude brings is the recognition of her own resilience. Without others to lean on, she discovers her capacity to handle challenges independently. She becomes resourceful, finding solutions to problems without external input, and gains confidence in her ability to navigate life's uncertainties. This independence fosters a deep sense of self-trust, one of the most valuable gifts anyone can possess. When a woman trusts herself, she becomes unstoppable. She no longer relies on others for validation or support, knowing she has the inner strength to face whatever comes her way. Celebrating her achievements. Solitude isn't only about addressing difficulties, it's also a time to celebrate success. In the quiet, she has the chance to reflect on how far she's come and acknowledge her accomplishments without the need to downplay them for others' comfort. She recognizes her resilience, her growth, and the unique qualities that define her. This process of self-acknowledgement builds her self-esteem, reinforcing the truth that she is enough exactly as she is. In doing so, she learns to appreciate herself fully, finding joy and pride in her journey rather than seeking approval from the outside world. Charting a new path. With clarity and self-awareness gained through solitude, a woman becomes intentional about the life she wants to create. She is no longer bound by the expectations of others or societal norms. Instead, she is guided by her values, aspirations, and authentic desires. This freedom allows her to set meaningful goals, whether in her career, relationships, or personal growth, and pursue them with purpose. Solitude gives her the space to reassess her direction, align her actions with her true self, and rebuild her life from the inside out. Growth that is quiet but transformative. Personal growth doesn't happen in grand, dramatic moments. It is often quiet, steady, and deeply transformative. Solitude provides the fertile ground for this growth, allowing a woman to nurture her spirit, reflect on her experiences, and evolve in ways that are meaningful to her. This gradual evolution is what makes her stronger, more grounded, and more aligned with her true self. In this space, she discovers that she doesn't lack connection, she has the most important connection of all, the one with herself. Embracing the connection with herself. Perhaps the most empowering realization a woman can come to in solitude is that she doesn't need external validation to feel worthy or fulfilled. Society often teaches that a woman's value lies in her relationships, with friends, family, or a partner. But in her solitude, she discovers that her worth comes from within. This connection to herself becomes her anchor. It allows her to walk through life with confidence, knowing that she is enough no matter the circumstances. She is no longer defined by the roles she plays in others' lives, friend, daughter, partner, but by the unique individual she is when no one else is around. A future built on strength. By embracing solitude, a woman not only heals her past but also builds a stronger future. She learns to celebrate her successes, set meaningful goals, and cultivate a life aligned with her values. Her growth is steady and transformative, rooted in the clarity and resilience she has gained. This process of self-reflection and healing allows her to let go of old patterns and embrace a future filled with possibility. She becomes more confident in her ability to face challenges, more intentional in her choices, and more connected to her true self. The gift of solitude. Solitude, often misunderstood as loneliness, is one of life's greatest gifts. It offers a space for reflection, healing, and growth that cannot be found amidst the chaos of the outside world. A woman who embraces this gift gains clarity, strength, and an unshakable sense of self-worth. Through her journey, she discovers that she doesn't need the approval or validation of others to thrive. Her worth is not tied to her social connections or how others perceive her. Instead, she finds fulfillment in her connection with herself, a connection that is deep, unwavering, and entirely her own. Conclusion: the empowerment of solitude. The journey through solitude is not an easy one, but it is profoundly rewarding. A woman who embraces this path becomes stronger, more resilient, and more aligned with her true self. She learns to trust her instincts, celebrate her growth, and heal from past wounds, emerging as a powerful and self-assured individual. By stepping away from the noise of the outside world, she finds her voice, her purpose, and her strength. Solitude is not a limitation, it is a liberation, a chance to thrive on her own terms. A woman with no friends doesn't lack connection, she has forged the most important connection of all, the one with herself. This bond becomes the foundation of a life lived with authenticity, grace, and unstoppable strength. The liberating journey of authenticity, a woman's guide to living on her own terms. In a society that often ties a woman's worth to her social connections, her ability to be seen, or her popularity, the decision to walk a path independent of these expectations is an act of immense courage. When a woman chooses to define her life by her own values rather than conforming to societal norms, she reclaims her authenticity, her freedom, and her strength. This path is not always easy, but it is deeply fulfilling, offering a life of purpose, integrity, and unshakable confidence. Rejecting society's expectations. Society often promotes the idea that to be happy, successful, or fulfilled, you must fit into a specific mold, be highly social, cultivate a wide network, and participate actively in group activities. Yet these superficial standards rarely reflect the true essence of fulfillment. A woman who chooses to walk alone understands this. She realizes that her value is not determined by how many people she knows or how frequently she appears in social circles. Instead, her worth comes from within, her character, her talents, her mind, and her heart. This recognition liberates her from the societal trap of conformity. Living authentically means rejecting the habit of pleasing others or adhering to expectations that do not resonate with her. It requires her to step away from the collective narrative society imposes on women, how they should act, who they should associate with, and what kind of lives they should lead. In doing so, she reclaims the power to write her own story, define her own path, and live on her own terms. Writing her own script. The decision to live authentically often follows a period of introspection and growth. A woman who has spent time in solitude, truly getting to know herself, understands the importance of being true to who she is. She recognizes that attempting to conform to societal expectations only leads to frustration, unhappiness, and a sense of disconnection from her true self. By stepping away from the crowd and embracing her individuality, she becomes more aligned with her purpose, her passions, and her personal goals. She no longer makes decisions based on what others expect of her. Instead, she prioritizes what feels right for her. This level of authenticity allows her to live with integrity, bringing a profound sense of peace and fulfillment. The freedom of authenticity. Living authentically means shedding the fear of judgment and the constant need for approval. A woman who embraces her individuality learns to let go of the opinions of others, focusing instead on what truly matters in her life. She stops worrying about fitting in or meeting arbitrary milestones dictated by society. Instead, she directs her energy toward her own growth, happiness, and path. This freedom allows her to stand firm in her decisions, even when they challenge societal norms. Whether it's pursuing an unconventional career, choosing to live a quieter life, or maintaining a small but meaningful circle of friends, she is confident in her choices. This confidence becomes a foundation for her strength, enabling her to navigate life with clarity and purpose. Building meaningful connections. Living authentically does not mean rejecting all social connections or isolating herself from the world. Instead, it means being selective about who she allows into her life. A self-aware woman surrounds herself with people who respect her for who she is, not for who they want her to be. She seeks relationships rooted in mutual understanding, honesty, and respect, rather than superficiality or convenience. This intentional approach to relationships creates a life rich in meaning and connection, even if her circle is small. She values quality over quantity, focusing on bonds that bring depth and fulfillment. These authentic connections add to her strength, supporting her journey while respecting her individuality. Embracing a unique journey. One of the most liberating aspects of living authentically is the understanding that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to life. Society often imposes rigid timelines and milestones. By a certain age, you should have a large circle of friends, a specific type of social life, or particular accomplishments. A woman who rejects these pressures embraces the fact that her journey is unique, and she's perfectly okay with that. She understands that she is not in a race to meet someone else's milestones. Instead, she focuses on her own growth, happiness, and path. This shift in mindset allows her to navigate life with grace and patience, free from the anxiety of comparison or the need to meet unrealistic standards. Living with integrity. When a woman chooses to live authentically, she aligns her decisions with her true self. She no longer wears a facade or tries to be someone she's not. Instead, she shows up in the world unapologetically, embracing her individuality with pride. This authenticity has a magnetic quality, drawing the right people and opportunities into her life. Living with integrity means making choices that resonate with her values, even when they go against the grain. It brings her peace, as she is no longer striving to meet expectations that don't align with her truth. This authenticity empowers her to live a life that feels meaningful and true, rather than one dictated by societal pressures. Inspiring others. When a woman chooses to live authentically, she becomes a role model, often without even realizing it. Her courage to embrace her individuality inspires others to do the same. By rejecting the pressure to conform, she gives others permission to question societal norms and embrace their uniqueness. This ripple effect is profound. A single act of authenticity has the power to challenge the status quo and encourage a more inclusive and accepting world. By living her truth, she not only transforms her own life but also creates space for others to do the same. the liberating choice to walk alone. Choosing to live authentically often involves walking a path that looks different from others. It requires rejecting societal definitions of success and focusing instead on what truly matters. A woman who embraces this path discovers a life of freedom, fulfillment, and purpose. She understands that her worth is not tied to her social connections or how well she fits into society's limited mold. Instead, her value comes from within, her integrity, her passions, and her ability to live a life that reflects her true self. This realization frees her to chart her own course, guided by her own values and aspirations. Conclusion: authenticity as a path to freedom. The decision to live authentically is one of the most empowering choices a woman can make. It requires immense strength to reject societal expectations and embrace one's individuality. But the rewards are profound: a life of freedom, integrity, and deep fulfillment. By walking her own path, a woman discovers that she doesn't need the approval or validation of others to thrive. Her worth comes from within, and her journey is uniquely her own. In choosing authenticity, she becomes a role model, inspiring others to break free from the constraints of conformity and embrace their true selves. This path is not always easy, but it is deeply rewarding. A woman who lives authentically creates a life of meaning and purpose, one that reflects her deepest truths and values. In doing so, she redefines what it means to live a fulfilling life on her own terms. The transformative power of emotional independence, a woman's journey through solitude. Living authentically is an act of self-love and courage. It requires a woman to trust herself, to believe that she knows what is best for her life, even when her path looks different from others. This trust in oneself stems from a deep understanding that her value is intrinsic, not something granted by external validation. A woman who embraces this truth learns to live in a way that prioritizes her happiness, peace, and purpose over conforming to societal expectations. In doing so, she discovers a life of freedom, a life worth living. Authenticity as a path to freedom. A woman who chooses authenticity declares that her self-worth is not contingent on approval from friends, society, or cultural norms. She understands that living in alignment with her own values is far more fulfilling than bending to fit someone else's idea of who she should be. By stepping away from the pressures of conformity, she gains the freedom to explore her passions, pursue her dreams, and create a life that feels true to her. This authenticity is not just an external choice, but an internal transformation. It allows her to honor her emotions, desires, and individuality without fear of judgment. It is a declaration that her life is hers to shape and that she will do so unapologetically. The gift of emotional resilience. One of the most profound benefits of solitude is the opportunity to develop emotional resilience. Without the constant presence of friends or companions to lean on, a woman must navigate her emotional world on her own terms. What might begin as a necessity quickly transforms into one of her greatest strengths. In solitude, she learns to rely on herself for support, validation, and stability. This reliance builds a level of emotional resilience that few others achieve. Emotional resilience is not about suppressing emotions or pretending that everything is fine. It is the ability to face life's challenges head-on and bounce back from adversity. By turning inward and confronting her emotions, she becomes her own source of comfort and strength. Navigating emotions without external validation. When surrounded by others, it's easy to rely on them for advice, distraction, or emotional support. While these connections are valuable, they can sometimes prevent a person from developing true independence. A woman who spends time alone learns how to sit with her emotions, process them, and navigate through them without needing someone else to make her feel better. This emotional independence teaches her that she is fully capable of managing her own feelings. She understands how to navigate sadness, anger, or fear in a healthy and productive way, which empowers her to face life's challenges with confidence. This process builds an unshakable inner strength, reducing her vulnerability to external circumstances and making her more resilient to life's inevitable ups and downs. Setting boundaries and prioritizing emotional well-being. Another essential lesson that solitude teaches is the importance of setting boundaries. In the constant effort to maintain harmony in relationships or please others, it's easy to lose sight of one's own needs. A woman who walks alone gains the clarity to see what truly matters and recognizes what she can let go of. This clarity gives her the courage to enforce boundaries without guilt. She learns to prioritize her own emotional well-being, understanding that she doesn't have to be everything to everyone. This is not about isolation, but about cultivating healthier relationships that respect her energy and peace. The power of emotional independence. Emotional independence doesn't mean a woman isolates herself or rejects relationships entirely. Instead, it means she approaches relationships from a place of strength and wholeness, rather than neediness or insecurity. She no longer looks to others to fill emotional gaps or validate her feelings because she has already done the work to support herself. This independence fosters healthier, more balanced relationships. She values connection but doesn't cling to it out of fear of being alone. She is comfortable with herself, and that self-assurance radiates into every relationship she forms. People are drawn to her confidence, and her relationships are based on mutual respect rather than dependence. Facing challenges with grace. A woman who has developed emotional resilience is better equipped to handle rejection, disappointment, and adversity. When a relationship ends, a goal is unmet, or life throws unexpected challenges her way, she doesn't crumble. Instead, she draws on her inner strength, knowing that she has the tools to navigate these moments without feeling powerless. This resilience allows her to adapt to life's twists and turns with grace. While she may still experience pain and hardship, she has learned how to process her emotions in a way that keeps her grounded and empowered. Self-awareness and growth through solitude. The journey of emotional independence also brings profound self-awareness. Solitude provides the space to reflect on one's triggers, emotional patterns, strengths, and areas for growth. A woman in this space becomes more attuned to what makes her happy, fulfilled, and at peace. She learns to recognize behaviors or choices that don't serve her and begins to build her life around what truly matters. This self-awareness enables her to make intentional decisions rather than reacting impulsively or seeking approval from others. It is a form of empowerment that allows her to take control of her life and shape it according to her desires. Trusting herself and embracing her worth. Perhaps the greatest gift of emotional independence is the deep trust a woman develops in herself. She no longer seeks validation from external sources because she knows her worth is intrinsic. This self-trust gives her the confidence to make decisions that align with her values, even if they go against societal norms or expectations. With this trust comes self-respect. A woman who values herself refuses to settle for less than she deserves, whether in relationships, her career, or any other aspect of her life. She holds herself to high standards, not because of external pressure but because she knows her potential and her worth. Living with freedom and purpose. Through solitude and emotional independence, a woman gains the freedom to live a life of purpose. Without the distractions of constant social interaction, she can explore what truly drives her and what legacy she wants to leave behind. This clarity allows her to set meaningful goals and focus on long-term aspirations rather than fleeting concerns. This sense of purpose brings fulfillment and direction to her life. She becomes more intentional with her time and energy, dedicating herself to pursuits that align with her passions and values. This freedom to be herself and pursue what matters most is one of the most empowering aspects of her journey. Conclusion: the strength found in solitude. Living authentically and cultivating emotional independence are acts of profound self-love and courage. By embracing solitude, a woman discovers her inner strength, resilience, and self-worth. She learns to navigate her emotions without relying on others, to set boundaries that protect her peace, and to live a life aligned with her values. This journey is not about rejecting relationships but about approaching them from a place of wholeness and strength. It's about knowing that her worth doesn't come from external sources but from within herself. A woman who walks this path becomes unstoppable, a force of nature who faces life's challenges with grace and confidence. In choosing this path, she finds true freedom, the freedom to be herself, to pursue her passions, and to create a life that is fulfilling on her own terms. This is the power of emotional independence, and it is a gift that transforms her life in every way. The power of emotional resilience and independence, a woman's journey to wholeness. A woman who has embraced emotional resilience and independence approaches life and relationships with unparalleled strength and clarity. She doesn't avoid relationships, instead, she enters them from a place of wholeness and security. Having done the work to fill her own emotional gaps, she is not reliant on others to complete her. This empowers her to engage with others with a healthy sense of detachment, valuing connection but never clinging to it out of fear. Building relationships from strength, not need. When a woman has achieved emotional resilience, she is comfortable being alone. This comfort radiates into her relationships, creating an atmosphere of mutual respect and authenticity. She doesn't need others to validate her feelings or provide a sense of security. She's already built that foundation within herself. Her relationships become spaces of enrichment rather than dependency. This sense of independence gives her the freedom to engage without fear of rejection or disappointment. She understands that relationships are an addition to her life, not a necessity. By cultivating inner peace and self-worth, she ensures that her connections are built on mutual respect rather than a one-sided need for affirmation. Grace in rejection and disappointment. Rejection and disappointment are inevitable in life, but a woman who has spent time alone and developed emotional independence handles these challenges with grace. She has already learned how to navigate her emotions, face her fears, and recover from setbacks without relying on others to pull her through. This ability to stand strong in solitude makes her more adaptable, allowing her to face life's twists and turns without losing her sense of self. When things don't go as planned, whether in relationships, career, or personal goals, she doesn't crumble. Instead, she taps into the strength she has cultivated, finding solutions, learning from the experience, and moving forward with resilience. Redefining self-worth through solitude. For many, self-worth is tied to external validation, the number of friends, social invitations, or approval from peers. A woman who has embraced solitude learns to see her worth in a completely different light. Her value isn't determined by how others perceive her but by her character, her integrity, and her ability to persevere through challenges. This internal validation is deeply empowering. By detaching her sense of self-worth from external sources, she frees herself from the pressures of pleasing others or conforming to societal expectations. Her sense of value becomes rooted in who she is rather than what she achieves or how she is perceived by others. The gift of self-awareness. Through emotional resilience and independence, a woman gains a profound level of self-awareness. Solitude provides the time and space to reflect on her emotions, patterns, and triggers. This reflection allows her to understand what truly makes her happy, what fulfills her, and what brings her peace. Instead of seeking fulfillment from external sources, she begins to build her life around these internal insights. This clarity enables her to navigate life with intention, setting boundaries that protect her peace and focusing her energy on what truly matters. Becoming unbreakable. A woman who learns to stand on her own emotionally becomes unbreakable. She isn't swayed by the opinions of others or dependent on external support to feel secure. She embraces solitude as a source of strength and growth, understanding that true power comes from within. This inner resilience allows her to face life's challenges with grace and confidence. No matter what comes her way, she knows she has the resources within herself to handle it. This self-trust brings her not only strength but also a sense of peace with herself and the world around her. Prioritizing growth and well-being. When a woman walks alone, she naturally begins to prioritize her growth and well-being in ways that often get overlooked in the noise of constant social interactions. Solitude gives her the clarity to focus on what truly nurtures her soul and leads her toward the life she desires. In this space of independence, she can reflect on questions that are often ignored in the rush of daily life. What do I truly want out of life? What makes me happy? What do I need to work on to become the best version of myself? These reflections help her to prioritize personal growth and self-care, shifting her focus inward rather than seeking approval or guidance from others. Multifaceted growth. The personal growth she experiences in solitude is multifaceted. It's not just about learning new skills or advancing in her career, though those are valuable components. It's about emotional, spiritual, and mental growth. By understanding her triggers, strengths, and weaknesses, she becomes more self-aware and capable of confronting areas where she needs improvement. Solitude provides the space to engage deeply with herself, cultivating an intimate understanding of her needs, desires, and aspirations. This growth becomes the foundation for a life of intention and clarity. Redefining self-care. A woman who walks alone learns the true meaning of self-care. It's not just about indulgences or temporary pleasures, but about genuinely nurturing her mind, body, and spirit. She prioritizes activities that replenish her energy and bring her peace, whether that's through meditation, exercise, journaling, or simply spending time in nature. This deeper level of self-care helps her to maintain balance and harmony in her life. By taking care of herself first, she ensures that she has the strength and energy to face life's challenges with resilience and grace. Living with intention and clarity. Through solitude, a woman gains the tools to navigate life intentionally. She is no longer distracted by the opinions or pressures of others. Instead, she aligns her choices with her values, creating a life that reflects her true self. This intentional living allows her to set meaningful goals and work toward them with focus and determination. She becomes selective about how she spends her time and energy, choosing to invest in activities and relationships that contribute to her well-being and growth. The beauty of emotional independence. Embracing emotional resilience and independence is not about isolating oneself, but about approaching life and relationships from a place of strength and authenticity. A woman who has cultivated this independence understands that she doesn't need to be everything to everyone. She can set boundaries, protect her peace, and prioritize her happiness without guilt. This empowerment enables her to engage with others in a healthy, balanced way, valuing connection while maintaining her sense of self. She becomes a source of strength and inspiration for those around her, radiating confidence and peace. Conclusion: the unstoppable power of solitude. The journey of emotional resilience and independence transforms a woman into someone unbreakable. By embracing solitude, she discovers her inner strength, self-worth, and capacity for growth. She learns to prioritize her well-being, set boundaries, and navigate life with intention and clarity. Through this process, she becomes a force to be reckoned with, strong, self-aware, and unapologetically herself. She no longer seeks validation from external sources but finds fulfillment within. This is the power of walking alone, a journey that leads not to isolation but to wholeness, peace, and an unshakable sense of self. The transformative power of solitude, self-care, self-trust, and purpose. In a world that often equates busyness with success and social interaction with fulfillment, choosing solitude can be a radical act of self-care and self-discovery. For a woman who walks alone, this journey is not about isolation or rejection of others, but a deliberate choice to nurture her mind, body, and spirit. Solitude becomes a sanctuary where she learns to prioritize her growth, embrace her worth, and cultivate a sense of purpose. The depth of true self-care. Self-care is often misunderstood as indulgent pampering or an occasional break from stress. However, for a woman walking her own path, self-care becomes a daily practice deeply rooted in nourishing her well-being. It's not a luxury reserved for moments of burnout but an essential part of her life. She prioritizes activities that replenish her energy and bring her joy, whether through exercise, meditation, reading, journaling, or connecting with nature. This approach to self-care is transformative. It helps her cultivate inner peace, which becomes the foundation of her daily life. By focusing on what truly nurtures her, she not only strengthens herself but also builds the resilience needed to face life's challenges with grace. Intentional living, time as a precious resource. One of the most significant shifts for a woman who walks alone is her intentionality with time. She recognizes that her time is precious and chooses not to waste it on activities or people that drain her energy. Instead, she focuses on what truly matters, activities that contribute to her growth, learning, and fulfillment. She dedicates her time to personal projects, acquiring new skills, or engaging in hobbies that align with her values. By letting go of meaningless social interactions and obligations, she creates a life filled with purpose and alignment. This deliberate approach ensures that every moment she spends contributes to her overall well-being and happiness. Setting boundaries, an act of self-respect. Solitude provides clarity, allowing her to see where she has been overextending herself or allowing others to take advantage of her time and energy. In this space, she gains the courage to set boundaries without guilt. She learns to say no when needed, protect her peace, and prioritize her needs over the demands of others. Setting boundaries is not about shutting people out but about creating a healthy balance between her relationships and her personal well-being. This act of self-respect empowers her to engage with others on her own terms, ensuring that her energy is directed toward what truly matters. The empowerment of self-trust. When a woman walks alone, she begins to rely on her own judgment and intuition. Without the constant input or opinions of others, she learns to trust herself deeply. This trust is incredibly empowering, as it allows her to move through life with confidence and certainty. She no longer seeks external validation or approval and becomes more attuned to her inner voice. This growing sense of self-trust transforms her life. It enables her to make decisions that align with her values, creating a life that feels authentic and meaningful. As her trust in herself deepens, so does her self-respect. She recognizes her worth and refuses to settle for anything less than she deserves in her relationships, career, or personal endeavors. Purpose and fulfillment, the gift of solitude. Without the distractions of social obligations or the influence of others, solitude gives her the space to explore her passions and purpose. She asks herself important questions. What drives me? What am I passionate about? What legacy do I want to leave behind? In answering these questions, she gains clarity about what truly matters in her life. Living with purpose means focusing on long-term goals rather than getting caught up in day-to-day distractions. She is able to see the bigger picture and make decisions that align with her vision for the future. This sense of purpose fuels her growth and provides a deep sense of fulfillment. She knows that every step she takes is contributing to her personal development and overall well-being. Becoming the best version of herself. Prioritizing her growth and well-being is not a selfish act but a necessary one. By taking care of her own needs, she becomes stronger, more resilient, and more capable of achieving her goals. She also becomes a better version of herself for the people in her life. When her cup is full, she can show up fully for her relationships and responsibilities. Walking alone allows her to embrace self-discovery, self-care, and self-respect. Through this journey, she learns to navigate life's challenges with grace and strength. She gains the clarity to trust her instincts, the courage to set boundaries, and the determination to live with purpose. Inner peace and independence. The independence gained through solitude equips her with the tools to face the world with dignity and confidence. She is no longer swayed by external pressures or reliant on others for validation. Instead, she finds peace within herself and draws strength from her inner resources. Her sense of self-worth is unshakable, and her confidence radiates into every aspect of her life. This inner peace not only makes her stronger but also allows her to approach the world with kindness and grace. Conclusion: a journey toward wholeness. Walking alone as a woman is not a sign of weakness or isolation. It is a powerful journey towards self-discovery and empowerment. Through solitude, she gains clarity, strength, and an unshakable sense of self-worth. She learns to trust her instincts, prioritize her growth, and nurture her well-being without relying on external validation. This path allows her to live with intention, aligning her actions with her values and purpose. She emerges not as someone who lacks companionship but as someone fulfilled and whole within herself, capable of facing the world with confidence and grace. The journey of walking alone transforms her into the best version of herself. It is not about being alone for its own sake but about cultivating a life of authenticity, self-respect, and meaningful purpose. In choosing this path, she discovers the profound truth that fulfillment comes not from others but from within.